It was July of last year, and our family was about to have an addition. I was a little jealous because my wife was going to spew something cool and miraculous out of her, and I wanted to kind of commiserate and have something cool come out of me as well. So during that time, I got enamored with this concept, this idea called open source hardware, and the platforms that surround it. And open source hardware the idea is you build something, anything, a gadget, a gizmo, a doohickey, a table, a chair, no matter what, and you take the schematics and how you built it and you throw it online. And then somebody else comes along and he moves that idea forward, and it's free. It makes innovation happen rapidly. The entryway into that is the Arduino platform. And Arduino is a small microcontroller you can run down to Radio Shack and buy for 30 bucks. You plug it into your computer and you can start programming. If you were going to utilize it as a garden, you'd have a sensor that goes into the soil. It's testing to say, hey, are you dry? Are you dry? Or it says, yes, I am. Arduino says, cool. I'm going to turn the pump on. I'm going to make you wet. And it says, okay, I'm wet enough. Stop. So around this community, this open source hardware, this Arduino platform, these makers have been, this maker movement has been made, and the makers say, we don't have to wait anymore. We can solve our own problems. We don't have to wait for companies to solve them. We can do our own anything. And I was inspired. I said, man, they're building cool stuff. I want to build something cool. My first invention was a bottle that we take to a party and you blow into it, and if you were hammered drunk, it would glow red. And if you weren't quite drunk enough, it would glow green. But I found it difficult to explain to my 10-year-old daughter why that was a good idea. So we pivoted it. And we said, okay, let's come up with something different. We came up with Bloom. Bloom is an interactive lamp. It's a piece of art that lives in your house. You change it to fit whatever mood you have. Then when you're bored with it, you change it again. So my wife and I said, that's pretty cool. How do we create this? So one day I come home, and lo and behold, my wife had gone to the hardware store, and she'd made our kitchen into the man's dream kitchen. I had a drill press. I had a saw. My computers were laid out. Honestly, it was like the kitchen every man wanted and no woman wanted. So we were able to manufacture 2 prototypes. And we said, okay, now that we did that, it took a lot of work. I was really tired. How can we get some help? So we went to crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is a platform where you take your idea and you throw it out there and you say, world, is this a good idea? And the world will say, yes, it is. Or it'll say, nah, not so much. And there's varying levels of success. The platform that we utilize was Kickstarter, and Indiegogo is another one. Kickstarter, you go up and you set your goal. So this young lady set a goal of $2,000. She said, man, I want to make some marshmallows. It resonated, obviously, with a lot of people. They gave her $100,000, a hell of a lot of marshmallows. Now, Bloom didn't do that well, okay? But it did okay. It did better than I thought. We actually sold like 15, 16 Blooms for $250 a pop based on these little crappy prototypes that we made in the kitchen off 4-inch PVC pipe. So my wife and I were like, well, okay, what's the problem? The entry cost must be the problem. How do we lower the cost? So we go to another platform. That platform's called Elance. And it's where freelancers come, where you throw your problem out there, a tax problem, admin problem, tech problem, it doesn't matter, manufacturing, whatever. And you say, world, I need your help. And all these contractors bid on it. And you pick the one that fits your need and your budget. The guy I picked, his name was Azam. Azam, he lives in Lahore, Pakistan, where another team that we work with all the time is. And he said, Ryan, I'm going to do the electronical engineering. I'm going to do some of the manufacturing, and I'm going to do some of the assembly. And I'll do it for really cheap. And I said, Azam, you're my guy. I'm going to choose you. So get to work, buddy. And Sarah and I are going to go figure out how we build the Bloom case. So we landed on 3D printing technology. 3D printing technology is where you take a 3D model and you put it into a computer, and it actually prints out a physical device. It uses additive manufacturing, which is a hot plastic, goes up and down, back and forth in little tiny layers, and it creates something out of nothing. And so that's what we ended up making the Bloom case with. Here, each one of these lines represents the resolution of the Bloom. You see it? And so it actually created this. It took 11 hours to create this. So we got that created. We have our prototypes pretty much ready. In about 2 months, we'll re-release on Kickstarter. But it was interesting what we learned about Kickstarter and what it showed us. Our idea was validated. That was the first thing. It said, yes, your idea is okay. People actually liked Bloom. That was cool. I was like, dude, you want to buy this? Dude, awesome. I got 1,000 views on YouTube, and I'm not that good looking. I never get views on YouTube. I'm always like, damn, I want some views. In a month, I got 1,000 views. And I got 12,000 views on Kickstarter, and people were emailing me. So today, when you think about it, you can take your raw idea, you can put a little hard work, a little money behind it. You can fill in the needs that you have to bring your product to fruition with these freelancing platforms. Then you could throw that idea to the world and say, world, is it a good idea? And the world will validate it or it won't, but at least you'll have an answer. And if it says, no, it's a bad idea, who cares? Because the one thing Americans are really good at is coming up with ideas. And we can always come up with more. And so now, the only thing that stops us is the fear of failure. And I say, no, reject that fear. Because if we don't try, we have nothing. There's no presentation to show all you. There's no bloom that I can move forward. There's no connections that I've made in Pakistan. How cool is that? So I say we have to change our culture of stigmatism of failure. And we have to celebrate the attempt. If we can transform our communities, our families, and ultimately our country to celebrate the attempt, how much easier it will be for that next guy who fails to get up and try again? How much more willing will we be to move forward and try something that's outside of our comfort zone? And that's my challenge to you, is try something new. Get out there and just do it. There's so many ways to do it. The legacy that I want to leave with my daughter is this. I would rather fail 1,000 times than not try, because in every failure, there is success. And if she can grow up that way, and if some of you can take that home with you tonight, then my failed Kickstarter was a success.